All right, David.
Hey, Mike. David Moore, Dallas Morning News. This week was a little different with the Thursday game and then a Monday night game. So can you talk a little bit about what your player schedule was today to get back into it, and also just what your message was to them going into December? Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing for the players today was really just the strength conditioning, getting checked back in with the medical, and then they had a community service opportunity today. So that was their schedule, and then tomorrow is their normal Tuesday off day, and then we'll start Wednesday into a normal week.
Have you always found in your previous breaks coming back after Thanksgiving, there's a little more juice, a little more adrenaline coming back in, and you kind of see the light thing?
Definitely. I think that'll be Wednesday, probably more so Thursday. I feel it's real important to try to make this be a mini bye for what's in front of us. That's what I've learned over my experiences of playing on Thanksgiving. So that's really our what we're trying to accomplish.
Getting back, Clarence lost today, Dallas. Getting back to the medical.
Oh, get your Texas shirt on, huh? Shocker.
Not an accident.
Getting back to the medical, the guys checking in, and you get a read on some of the guys who've been out and their prospects for this week and what they're going to do for Monday night.
Okay, who do you want to talk about?
D-Law, Diggs, Martin.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is Wednesday will be kind of an abbreviated practice, something you have to be very conscientious of when they are on a break, just to come back into, probably about a 65% practice. So those guys, will probably do a little bit of that. And then Thursday will be a normal Wednesday, which, the veterans will break back in. But I see Zach Martin, potentially going with that group. D-Law is still technically in the rehab group, so we'd like to see where he is this week. That's a whole other threshold that he needs to go over. For the severity of his injury and how long he's been out. So it'll take the week really to answer those questions. Who else you want to talk about?
Diggs. What about Diggs?
I'm hopeful that he'll be able to do some earlier in the week and then hopefully progress to doing more at the end of the week.
And what about Guyton? Where is he?
He'll be in the rehab group Wednesday.
And Ferguson.
I would think Fergie will be close to coming back. There you go.
Thank you.
Oh, good teamwork.
Todd Archer with ESPN. In a league filled with unbelievable athletes and things like that, Overshown's play, the interception, the pick six, did you find yourself going back and looking at it again and say, oh my God, how did he do that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great play. Just all the way around, the anticipation, the instincts, and really to get control of the football. But I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. Really, I've been so impressed with him and his consistency and his approach, and that's just going to keep putting him in the position to progress. And frankly, we give him more opportunities. Because he obviously can make plays from the edge also. So, but yes, a big time play.
And then with Ferguson, what have you missed without having him in the last few games?
Fergie's He plays really well in all three phases. He's a good run blocker. He gives you protection, flexibility, and the things that come off of the protection. The option routes, delay routes, and things like that. And he's done damage in the passing game. So just really his consistency in all three areas. But I am happy with the young guys. Both Luke and Brev have done a really nice job. So, and I think that really helps us moving forward. And I'm just, in a big picture, is really hopeful that all the opportunities these young players have been given, that it'll definitely benefit us here down the stretch.
John Machado with The Athletic. With the wide receivers, just two in particular, Brandon Cooks, Jonathan Mingo, coming out of that last game. What was your evaluation of those two? Just frankly, it's great to get them back involved, number one. I think the biggest thing that I'm worried about is, how we're using them. Because, I think it's like anything in the game of football. The more plays you have, the more tendencies you have. The more personnel substitutions you have, the more tendencies you have. So we just got to make sure we're rolling these guys through, that we're not telegraphing, what's next because of who's in the game. But I thought both those guys did a nice job of playing to their opportunities that they were given last week.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Yeah, talked about the turnover ratio. It's not to your liking, but it seems as if during this win streak, you are getting the turnovers. Your thoughts about what the defense is doing?
Yeah, I love it. We're +4 the last 2 weeks, and obviously had turnovers also, or takeaways also in the Houston game. So, we got to keep that 0 on the board as far as taking care of the football. as far as the giveaways. That's very, very important, something we've been emphasizing more than ever, and definitely we'll need it this week against Cincinnati. But we need to continue to build off of what we've done. It's just like anything else. It's the more takeaways you get is really clearly is based off putting yourself in position. So we're putting ourselves in better position. Proper angles, gang tackling, second guy in, all the key coaching points to the takeaway opportunities. So I think our guys have done a really nice job recognizing that and in really getting it to game time, which is where it really matters.
It's a tough position to grade for a lot of people, but like Mozzie, you're seeing that progression that you've been looking for? Yeah,
definitely. I think it's once again you got to look at what's being asked of him. Is he doing his job? And I mean, let's be honest. When you're playing the nose guard in a one technique, it's not a lot of sexiness going on in there as far as what he's being asked to do. But I do one thing I would like to know, and I brought it up the last couple of times we talked about him. I do think he's doing a good job in the movement part of it. He's been a good anchor in there, and we are getting some consistency, and I think you clearly see that in our run defense.
Scholar Dixon with the AP. You mentioned tip of the iceberg with Overshown. What do you see with where he is, considering he did lose his rookie year to that injury?
Well, I think just like anything, if you'd have seen him in here working out every day, during that, that period of time, there was just such a level of consistency with that whole group, frankly. So he did grow, whether he realized it or not. So I think just like any player that comes into the league, there are things you just have to go through in your first year. Unfortunately, his was a major injury, but the second year things come a lot easier to you. The expectation of what every day brings is easier, and he's been a very mature, consistent player in person for us, and I think it's really showing up on game day. But yeah, I think his experience the first year was tough, but he did have a chance to go through everything at once.
Louis Scruggs, NBC5. Can you speak to the challenge of facing Joe Burrow and those offensive weapons he has?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just you watched the game yesterday, just the way he steps up in that pocket and so instinctive with the football. Clearly has a great understanding of what they're doing. Knows where everybody is. His ability to throw on time. Just the one glance route to the left is one there in the fourth quarter really stands out. To throw it into that coverage with anticipation and hit it in stride for, I think it was a 32-yard game. But yeah, he's top notch. This is a huge challenge for us. We understand what the records are, but their offense has been extremely productive, and a lot of times it just looks like they're playing 7-on-7 with their pass game. So it's going to be a big challenge for us.
And with Luke Schoonmaker's past couple of games, where do you think that confidence has come where he's been out there helping make plays where just a couple of weeks ago he was limited in the snaps and playing time?
I just really want to compliment Luke for all the extra time that he's put in. He's made some mistakes early, but there's not a day where he's not in there early, 7 o'clock with his position coaches, and there's not a day where he's not staying afterwards. So it's refreshing when you see these guys put in the extra time and then they're rewarded, on game day with his production. So I'm very proud of his approach. He's been very consistent, but he's really prepared for this opportunity, and he has stepped up here the last 2 weeks.
Jasmine Monet, Dallas Cowboys Media. Coach McCarthy, back in mid-October, you mentioned that the team was practicing hard enough, but not necessarily practicing well. So since then, have you seen improvements in the practice quality? And if so, could you share any specific changes that you've made that contributed to that?
Well, I think just like any year that you go through, and particularly, some days are better than others. But yes, I mean, you really kind of go into a different category of practicing this time of year. We'll have a full week, a padded week going into this week, but obviously 6-day week, and our padded practices are coming to an end here, so the practices will be different. But I think we've gotten better, but we've had a lot of moving parts, and when you have moving parts, you have to sometimes repeat plays, and we have continued to do that approach. But I definitely would say we're practicing better.
Also, with a number of injuries this season, some of them being non-contact or mechanism dependent, have you noticed any trends either through the GPS data or other metrics that could help you and the staff implement any preventative practices?
Definitely. I'm not going to talk about it right now, though. But that's our job. Love your question, though.
Yeah.
Ed Werder, WFA. You were talking a minute ago about how impressed you are with Cincinnati's offense. Defensively, though, they've had a lot of issues on that side of the ball, score a lot of points and not won games. In what ways do you see them as being vulnerable, even though you're playing a backup quarterback?
Well, when your offense is rolling, I mean that puts a different level of stress on the defense too. They, the thing that we're seeing is, I mean, they throw a lot at you. So this is a very good football team. I mean, I would never think their record would illustrates what you see on video. I mean, especially now we've had extra time. I know personally, just being in here on the weekend and just continue to watch the games and watch the Pittsburgh game live. This is a very good football team, and obviously they're going to have a full week to prepare for us, and we just look for this to be a Monday night battle, and that's the way we got to take it, because I mean the records, you really have to throw it out because there is a lot of production on both sides of the ball.
And CD, you expect him to regain a certain level of health this week?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Yeah, no, I'm hopeful. We'll see where he is Wednesday, but. Yeah, he had the shoulder injury in the game, and so we'll see where he is, come Wednesday.
Kyle Jones, DallasCowboys.com. You were talking earlier about Luke Schoonmaker earning some of those extra snaps because of his work ethic and his continued success. How is that translated with guys like Carl Lawson on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage, stepping up in a big role with all these injuries around? Yeah,
I think Carl, you look at his path here coming in late, getting some opportunities a little later. But he's been consistent, and he has a style of play, and I think just like anything, whether you're on offense, defense, or special teams, when you have new players that come as late as in Carl's situation, it takes both sides to learn a little bit of each other. Certain things that you may ask him to do or may not ask him to do, and I think now he's kind of finding his groove within our defense.
What was your evaluation of Mozzie Smith against the Giants?
My evaluation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he played a solid game. Just going back through the video, I think he's doing exactly what we're asking him to do. But I think his job is, he's an anchor in there, and I think the run defense has improved.
Josh.
Josh Tolentino, Lone Star Live. Going back to Brandon Cooks, it seemed like after his touchdown, so many teammates were joyful and happy for him in the locker room. Jalen Tolbert described him as a coach. So I guess given the injury and just kind of what he went through, how would you describe like his steadiness, not only in his rehab, but just providing a voice as the oldest guy in that room?
Yeah, he's a big part of our football team. He's definitely someone that the players, the locker room really looks to. Just a high quality individual. Everywhere he's worked, his reputation has followed him. It was great to have him back on every front. He's one of the key members on our leadership council. So I was in here today, doing the extra. So he's just the ultimate pro.
Clarence.
Micah talked last week or so about Zimmer challenging him to be a better leader and do some things differently. Certainly his presence, what he does on the field has been noted, but can you talk about what you see from Micah coming back? Did he learn some things while he was out? How has he been a better leader?
I would say, just the biggest thing is getting back into regularity. I think you got to remember, Micah, and it's going to be the same with D-Law and all these. Brandon's another example. I mean, these guys go through these injuries. It just when they come back and go return to play, they don't just jump right back in and pick up where they left off. I mean, it's just not practical. So I think you're seeing that both on the field and off the field with Micah, which has been very consistent with the other guys too. So just getting out there and, the connection in practice. I mean, there's a reason why you practice and the reason why you practice a certain way. So I just think the biggest thing is you're getting back into more of a consistency and more of a flow that you kind of lose when you're injured. So I think that's the biggest thing, having him back in there and being a constant, and that's important for all of our guys.
His attitude of not giving up and, we're going to make something out of it, is that infectious? That, him coming in with that energy and
yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I mean, you always appreciate that and appreciate his words. I think it's a good illustration of what the belief is, not only by him, but also in the locker room.
Good. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.